Welcome, everybody. I cannot say it enough times. Welcome. Bienvenue, willkommen, bienvenidos, que mille falcha. I'm Jim Hodgson. So excited to welcome you all to the first race of the Formula Prox Fall 2020 season. Joining me is Robert O'Brien. Robert, how are you, my friend?
And good evening, Jim. How are we? Yeah, it's Daytona, so it's going to be very interesting in course with a bus stop. It's a bit humid out there, partially cloudy with a little bit of wind, but it's nice and calm. Otherwise speaking,
Quite so.
If the drivers are going around now, we can just see pack of 3 going past turn 1. Now, distinctly speaking, we've been here before, but we've been here before when I think these drivers were still getting used to the ropes. And,
Yes, well, brand new
they'll,
season. Yeah, season opener. So if you're not familiar with us, everybody, again, welcome. We should also say welcome to our gentleman in the production booth, Dennis. Thank you so much, Dennis, for your kind administrations. Now, if you're not familiar with our racing league, our goal is no less than saving the universe from destruction, at least our planet from destruction, by a bizarre group of folks known as the stewards, who are otherworldly entities threatening to murder us all. And that is Michael Day doing a poor job of saving us. Threatening to murder us all if we do not entertain them with sim racing. So tonight, everybody will start in the Global MX-5 Miatas for these first 2 races. We have 2 heats for you tonight, and the results of tonight's race will determine the lineup of cars for the next race. Please go to our website, fprox.net, where you can learn all about it. Robert, how are you feeling about everybody? We have a field of 9 racers tonight, everybody in the same car. How are you feeling? What's your excitement level based on just this season opener?
excited. That's how I will put it. It's very excited, especially with the team, or not the teams, but the loadout that we have tonight. On board with Patrick Wilmot going through the NASCAR 3-4. He, I think, was in the making when we were just sort of sorting this all out. So I'm happy to see him back. I'm also happy to see back likes of Michael Day, being able to see these guys start a new season fresh and, entertaining the stewards very kindly, very sweetly. Make sure not to spin, as I think 2 drivers have done right now. Flannery with a 2:12, and then just behind him, Hazelton with a 2:13, just parking it, just 1.1 seconds behind him. I think we do have to go over the car setup, as it were. I think going forward it would be important if anyone is joining us from start to finish, what the structure is.
Sure. Well, we might as well hit it really fast, as long as we are just at the beginning of qualifying, only about 5 minutes into this 15-minute qualifying section. So there will be plenty of time left until things start getting extremely hairy in terms of our driver lineup. Although, as you say, some pretty fast lap times coming in. So basically, here's the idea for the overall idea for the league. We have 5 cars of different capabilities, and your placement, how well you do on a given night of racing, determines what car you get to use for the next race. Now, you do not have to use the car that the stewards choose for you, but you do take a point penalty if you use the wrong one or if you ignore them. And let's face it, you also run the risk of them, blowing up your family. So here are the 5 cars, from fastest to slowest. They are the Skip Barber Formula 2000 car, the Legends car, the road version of the Legends oval racing car. In the middle, which is the car that we'll start on tonight, is the Global MX-5 Miata. This is the ND version of the Miata. And then the Spec Racer Ford is a little bit slower. And finally, the dreaded Pontiac Solstice,
Who I have much love for, and I would love to see it on the track.
So if you win tonight, whoever wins tonight will start the next race in the Solstice, and there will be much wailing and gnashing of teeth when that occurs. You can trust me, because we've seen it and we've heard it during the testing phase of this whole setup. Whoever comes in second tonight will go one car down the ladder, so they will be in the Spec Racer Ford. Third place will stay in the Miata. Fourth place will actually go up a car on the ladder, so they will be in the Legend. And everybody else in the field will get to drive the Skippy car, the Skip Barber Formula 2000 car for the next race. So all of this is in hopes that we can create as much entertainment and close racing and on track action as possible, so that we can save our planet from the stewards. I think you can tell by the way that I'm sort of skipping around. I'm just super excited to finally have the real thing going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm excited as well. And if anything, you can provide entertainment to the stewards, as you put it, and at least give them a laugh. If we can at least give them a laugh, I think that would be enough. They'd spare us at that point. Sure.
Let's hope. Yeah, let's hope. So we have just a few minutes left of qualifying, about 6:45 left of qualifying, and then we will have a 15-minute heat and then a reverse grid main event of 20 minutes. So there's, it's meat, it's vegetables, a roll, and dessert, I think, even on tonight's plate.
I think it's absolutely everything. It's like having a meal and then wanting seconds, and then you get thirds.
Right.
I think that's how we should put it.
Right. How very American of you to point that out. That is the way that we do things.
Well, I mean, if you like a meal, might as well have thirds.
Oh, I do, my man. I do. Now, it's not surprising to me, Robert, to see Wilmot currently on the top of the timing tower, although we still have about 6 minutes left to go in qualifying. He is a very, very fast driver, does a bit of instructing and driving in meat space, and also spends a lot of time in sim, so it doesn't surprise me at all to see him coming at the top of the tower there.
No, he's been absolutely keeping it nice and flat through the corners. I've been watching him specifically, just being able to sort of corner flat, going through the International Horseshoe at the moment. It's just being able to nicely keep it in tow, just behind the car number 1. That is, of course, Flannery. So his the closest rival, the 1 and 2 on the qualifying board at the moment, are sort of jousting each other going through the second horseshoe. These two, I think, will be the ones to watch out for going down the order, going down towards the solstice. I think I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if either one of them is in the solstice.
Nor would I. Yeah.
And sticks in the solstice up until the poor solstice gets pushed off the road.
Well, these guys are all good friends in real life, so you will see some on-track shenanigans that would perhaps in a professional series earn you no friends at all. That's just the way that these guys do, because we're all friends. And I should say thank you so much to our sponsor, Jzilla. That's how we met most of these folks that we know in real life, from Jzilla Track Days, and they were kind enough to throw us a few bones to get this all started. So thank you so much to James and the whole Jzilla family for just trusting us enough to start this crazy racing series. A little bit different than most sim racing series, I think I'm safe in saying. But they had the faith or the irresponsibility to trust us with it.
We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It was faith. Just the benefactors don't need to know. The aliens don't need to know. The stewards don't need to know. It's just us in our little booth commenting. And sorry, Ben Warren just having a little bit of an accident. I think that is coming out of the NASCAR 2. I think he just hit the wall.
I think he did.
I was completely amazed because I just saw the car going around, and then suddenly the car was not going around. It was turning around in the very wrong way.
Yeah.
Michael Day coming. Sorry, go ahead.
I wasn't watching as closely as I might have been, but I thought he was exiting the bus stop and had a little problem on the exit of that bus stop chicane, as you well know, if you get a little bit crossed up on the entry, you can end up a lot crossed up on the exit. And then you have that, NASCAR 3 coming up pretty quickly. So
Yeah,
that,
if you start sliding, I mean it's not too bad in these cars. But if you start sliding coming out of NASCAR 2 in the big boy car, or if you're so inclined to run the NASCAR road course version of this, you start sliding coming out of the NASCAR 2, which they're actually quite prone to doing. Yeah, it's going to be a very bad day for you. You're just going to be going towards the fans, which you should not be doing.
so Wilmot at a 2:12.4, and Flannery 3/10 of drift. That's none too shabby. Normally, Greenberg and Hazelton would expect them to both be qualifying pretty well, a little bit better, frankly, than they have qualified, it would seem. But at least they're not bouncing off the wall. Well, Hazelton, a very good qualifier, usually not able to replicate those results in the race. Fred, I apologize for telling the truth about you like that. Michael Day,
the poor man. He's just doing his best, and you just extend out the note of you're not doing it too well.
Well, look, I did say he's a great qualifier. Michael Day, one of our early adopters, jumped on board with the series pretty much as soon as we announced it. Thank you so much, Dave, again, for your faith and support. Chuma Onobogu, a fan favorite, just a great guy to have around. So glad that he came along to race with us. Now, Scott Lovett, two things that Scott Lovett's very good at. One, he's very good at standing starts. The guy, he almost has a superpower with standing starts. And two, he is absolutely hilarious on mic because he gets very excited. I don't know, Robert, I don't know if you've ever been in the Discord when they're actually driving, but his voice, I mean, bats could use his voice to navigate. He goes up so high. It's absolutely hilarious.
Oh, is it outside the human hearing span at times? Is it?
Yeah, it's good if you have if you have a dog on hand to let you know sometimes when he's speaking. Hayden Suk, thank you so much for joining us. He is new to us. We're so pleased to have him on board. And finally, Warren, who we just saw doing his impression of a ping pong. As it looks to me as the results are going to firm up here pretty quickly.
Less than 30 seconds to go for the qualifying. I think everybody but Onobugu, Lovett, and Day are in the pits. Yeah, Wilmot doing a 2:12.431, so he's smack bang on pole. Flannery behind him, but Onobugu not going for another lap. He won't have the time. Neither will Day. He won't have the time. So I think the results are set in.
Yeah, I think you're right. And as I said, I just saw that Lovett, yes, indeed, he's going to be in P7. So 3.6 seconds off the pace, but the guy does have a standing start superpower. So keep your eye on that number 13 car, lucky number 13. I think you're going to see it jump up through the field when we start. So your results. P1, Patrick Wilmot in the number 69 car, Flannery in the number 1 car on your front row. Second row is Jonathan Greenberg in the Oregano livery, and he is the number 420 car. That's because he is 42 years old and has 0 regrets. There could be no other reason to have the number 420. Fred Hazelton, excuse me, that was right in the mic. I apologize. Fred Hazelton in the number 2 car, in P4. As I said, a great qualifier and a good racer too. We just give him a little bit of stick. On the third row, we have Michael Day in P5. Chuma Onobogu. Chuma is his nickname. Chukwuma, as you can see, is his name, in P6. On to Lovett in P7. Hayden Suk in P8. And Ben Warren, who probably did not have the results he'd like to have had.
I mean, he can make it up in the heats. There's no there's absolutely no end of days if you don't make it up in the heats. You can always come back in the feature. The goal is to survive to make it to the feature and survive the feature.
Oh boy, here we go. So first race of opening season could not be more excited. Let's see what we get. As the lights go out, Wilmot spins his car, gets very sideways, 3 wide as they're heading down into turn 1. It looked like Greenberg in the Oregano car was able to shoulder his way past, and it looks like Lovett did indeed get a pretty good start. He is up to P3. So Greenberg, Flannery, and Lovett. Look, I hate to say, Robert, that I called it, but I feel like I called it with Lovett's start, huh?
Yeah, he just springboarded from absolutely nowhere, and he springboarded into third place. I mean, you are correct. So coming into the International Horseshoe, that is Flannery, I think, that's blinking. No, it's Greenberg that's blinking. Greenberg. Flannery is having to essentially hope that he doesn't run into the back of him once he's blinked back in. Coming through turn 4, nice and tight, and the Miatas being able to cope, at least, unlike the Solstice, being able to cope with the corner. The second horseshoe, that is the car 69 car.
That is Wilmot doing everything he can to get around Lovett. I'm sure that he will be able to. He's just filling up Lovett's mirrors. And it looks like Lovett's going to let him breathe a little bit and let him get onto the banking in a safe way. Let's hope that they do. Lovett, and that is just Day a little bit behind them. So Greenberg looks like he's got a little bit of a gap on Flannery. He's got a little bit of a gap on Wilmot, who is nose to tail with Lovett.
Well, he has to.
Day.
Well, he has to. If he can keep up the slipstream, he just wasn't going side by side. Greenberg and Flannery have gone side by side. Flannery taking the inside line, coming into the bus stop, coming off the back stretch, and then onto NASCAR 3 and 4. Oh, he picked up a really good gap in between. But Lovett's good start. It's not serving him well because he's under threat from Day on the 3 and 4. Day is just having a little bit more speed coming around, but I think it's bled off just somewhat. Lovett will have the advantage coming up to turn 1. Well, he actually does have the advantage because he's slotted back into front.
As the battle continues at the front of the field with Greenberg and Flannery really duking it out. You know, nice, Robert, to see that although Greenberg might have perhaps gotten the lead in a bit of an ill-gotten way, he seems to be doing the most that he can with it as Wilmot closes the gap to these leading 2 cars.
Yeah, the more that they fight, the more that Wilmot can just sneak up on them and do a little switcheroo and just have them gasping for air as he just comes up behind him and just goes, "I'll take first, thank you." It's Flannery and Greenberg. Yeah, he just took 2.2 of a second off Greenberg's car, so definitely within the next few corners I would imagine that he actually is catching right up to him as Greenberg again diving quite deep on the number 1.
Now we have seen some unfortunate incidents between these 2 cars currently running in the front. It is not unheard of for Greenberg to get into the side of Flannery in the middle of a hairpin and send him round, as we saw them do at Tsukuba, but hopefully they'll learn from that experience and try to keep it a little bit cleaner tonight.
I think they have kept it cleaner tonight, especially coming through Horseshoe. I mean, Greenberg has sent it. He's not sent it in such a way that it has caused an accident. You know, he's lunging the car a little bit, trying to get a rotation to an over-under. But apart from that, he's not done anything that would endanger either of them. He's just trying to do nice, clean races to go side by side. Coming down the back stretch into the bus stop. Flannery yields position, but Flannery yields position to Wilmot, sitting on his rear end. So Wilmot biding his time, making sure that these 2 guys battle out. You can see side by side they go with the car number 69 just poised and ready to go when he feels like it, when he thinks he has the opening.
Seems to be really closing it right up though, as we're here on the NASCAR banking.
Yeah, well, he'll have the slipstream. As he goes on he does go into the apron. He's actually taking the both of them. He has taken the both of them. He has gone 3 wide. You know, if this was the iRacing spotter, he'd be like, "You're in the middle, 3 wide." Yeah. But Wilmot actually has the edge. Oh no!
Greenberg.
That is the car 420. Car 420. Greenberg going off. Not too much damage on the. I don't think there's any damage on the car. I think he just got.
I think he got lucky.
I think that's. Yeah, he got very lucky. I think that's what the Americans call pitting when Yeah, the rear right or rear left of a car gets a
Oh,
little bit
yeah.
out of sorts.
Yes, that is known as the pit maneuver.
Oh,
There we see another pit maneuver. That was Chuma on Lovett, I believe, and
that
Warren bouncing around as well.
I had seen the three of them going into the pits. I had absolutely no idea what had happened, but that is the result of I think who was that Warren that had he'd just gotten past and then slid into the wall. So he wasn't even involved in the actual initial incident, but not going to be a happy camper that his car decided that it didn't like being current.
Well, what is going on with Suk? He is car number 7. He has a pretty big gap from the leading 4. I'm not sure if he's able to. I don't see any events for him, so I think he must be keeping it fairly clean. But a big gap, a 12-second gap from this leading group of 4. And nice that Greenberg was able to close back up on these guys. Day now up in the mix as well. But I think what happened, Robert, tell me if you agree, but I think what happened was as we were coming down into turn 1 on that last lap, Greenberg just sort of shut the door there on Flannery, touched the front of his car, and didn't go around, but went into the runoff area. I thought when you said it was known by the Americans as pitting, I thought you meant that leaving the track at high speed was known as going into the
no,
pit.
no.
But no, I
I
think you're
was
talking about the pit maneuver.
yeah, the pit maneuver.
Yeah.
That's the correct one. I think it was just the fact that they were 3 wide. Ooh, I think that's Flannery giving a very friendly tap to the rear end. No, that was Greenberg giving a friendly tap to the rear end of Wilmot. Flannery trying to hang around. You see, it's 2 wides. I would consider impossible in terms of actually making it round safely. They were essentially trying to go 3 wide going into turn 1. These are not the biggest cars in the world. They're quite small compared to the other cars on the service. So
As we see Dave diving down the inside of Wilmot there.
yeah, and it can be very easily done, these kinds of moves. But even at turn 1 at Daytona, going 2 wide in these cars is it's extremely dicey. And going 3 wide,
even more so.
yeah.
That is
it's a bound.
Very nasty turn just off camber, and I've certainly had some car troubles at that particular corner. I think that's what you were saying.
Yeah, the fact that like a big car like a GT. Sorry, that is another accident. That's Greenberg and Flannery having a coming together. I think as you were saying,
I think Flannery might have lost his car there just as they were going through the kink between the horseshoes. Because he was all by himself. Let's see what happens.
Oh no,
he brake checked Greenberg.
Sorry, Greenberg. From my angle, I thought Greenberg was going very, very fast. I think he was trying to overreach himself to try and get past. I think he was falling back. I think he just overextended, and then as you do as you're racing driver in a heated moment, you're completely forgetting where you are on the track, and you're just looking, okay, I need to do this. I need to get past this person right now. That's a corner. Oh dear.
Well, we are over half distance now, going by time at 8:40 minutes into this first heat of a 15-minute race. Although we've only had 4 laps, we are over half distance now by quite a while. So we should be heading toward sort of the end of the race as we see Day and Wilmot lining up. Now, you will see drivers racing drivers in these cars in the real life. They'll stick their hand out of the top of the car and make a sort of a chopping motion. And that's to let the car in front of you know that you're going to go nose to tail with them. And you're going to try to, when you have a line of 2 cars like this, you can get away from the pack. If you get really nose to tail and you sort of help each other on the slipstream, you can create a gap like the one that Wilmot and Day have now over Greenberg. So it's possible that they are yelling at one another in the Discord and and forming sort of a team in that way. But I'm not surprised to see Day turning in some really nice, clean, fast laps. He's a great driver. He has just gotten some brand new sim racing controls, I happen to know, so they are apparently suiting him quite nicely.
Yeah, but is this a very lengthy truce? How long until Day takes on Wilma and says, first looks nice. I'll take that. And I think the term that I know as bump drafting is what you were saying, where they get nose to tail and try and sort of become a train essentially of the rear car pushing forward the front car in such a way that it can create a small gap. That would be beneficial if, let's say, for instance, the accident between Flannery and Greenberg hadn't that happened, and they were, essentially trying to get away from them as quickly as possible, trying to prevent, essentially, Greenberg from undercutting, overcutting, as we can see Wilmot having a little bit of a drift through bus stop. That leaves him open to Day. Does Day... No, Day actually continues... The truce continues for another lap. Going through 3 and 4. I think they'll just try and... I think they're just trying to keep the gap as wide as they can, or as long as they can, up until
what is Day doing? He's gonna pit?
He's gonna pit?
He's pitting.
I checked those tires. Those tires are fine. So Day is pitting.
Did he get a drive-through?
Oh, he might have had a drive-through, actually. Is he in his box? He is actually in his box. Yeah, he's in his box. He's in the pit stall.
There he goes again.
And yeah, he's just coming out now.
Well, I wonder if he started to think to himself, I need to move back in the pack a little bit, or I'm going to end up in that Solstice.
Ooh. So what you're saying is nobody wants to be in a Solstice, so
nobody wants to be in a Solstice. Yeah, look, there's nothing wrong with the Solstice as a car, but it is, for these guys, especially when you get out of one of the prototypes or, some of the really high horsepower cars these guys really like to drive, it is a very different experience. I mean, the Miata is a momentum car, but the Solstice is something else.
It's a car that you hope is a hope car.
Hope car.
Yeah, a hope car. Yeah. When it's all about hope and prayers. Essentially you're praying that the Solstice gets around. That's what you're doing. But
especially on a track like this with the high speed.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Especially with something like a skip car, like the Skippy would be the equivalent of an LMP1 car compared to something like a GTE of the Solstice. It's a little car. It's frightened. It's just trying to get around the track, and then there's this big scary machine with a battery in it coming around and going, "I want your lunch money. I want your lunch money. Come here."
So here we have Mr. Consistent, Hayden Suk, 20-second gap off the pace, but he is I would say in a pretty good position to end up in 4th, if not any better, thanks to Day just doing his inexplicable pit. Now, we will have an interview with Day, and we'll find out what was going through his mind and why he decided to pit his car. But if there's any more... Well, I don't know. There's pretty big gaps between the 3 front runners at the moment, but if there's any more trouble at the front, Suk could end up on the podium.
I mean, his last lap is pretty consistent with his best lap, 2:16.64, compared to his best of 2:16.49. I mean, being within essentially 2/10 of your best lap is extremely consistent. I think the main goal for Hayden is just casually get around the track, and if any boo-boos happen to anybody else, perfect for me.
Yeah.
Patrick Wilmot, he's throwing caution to the wind, essentially. He's just going, yep, I don't care about this. I'm just going to go full steam ahead. I don't care if I get the Solstice. I don't care. I'll drive that thing around. It's the last thing I do. It's just coming through the NASCAR 1 and 2. 7 seconds ahead of Greenberg after they pitted. Greenberg and Flannery are now back in the... we consider it the danger zone? Where your
I mean, it's just fun to
your
say.
car gets downgraded essentially, if by nature of the feature race, they stay the same.
I think I just saw Onabogu turn in his fastest lap for himself. I think he just turned something like a 2:15:01, looks like. None too shabby for him. He's not too far off of the fastest laps of the of the fastest drivers. Now his goal for the season, his stated goal, is to keep it clean, improve, and have some fun, which was something that we heard from all of the drivers. As it looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we are finishing up
It's
here.
it when we were forming this, I think that's the correct way of saying it. When we were forming this, I think that was the idea, was to try and see how these guys improved over time. So if any particular like Onabugu would be my particular favorite. Just Onabugu, you know.
Great guy.
I don't know how else to explain it. You know, he's just my guy. As
Great guy.
Day reaffirms his 5th position and not having to. Ooh, wait a minute. What if he was trying to start 4th for the reverse?
But currently he would be starting. He would start 5th. Because if we go a straight reverse.
Ooh, oh, you're correct. Actually, you're correct. But it would be better than starting like where he was, which was 8th. having to come back all the way back up through the field, especially if you're not able to gain too much time on a guy ahead, as Warren is the second last car to come around across the finish line, and we will have Hazelton coming up behind him very shortly. So
there he is.
The little Hazelton that could is that actually at it is at 1-2. I was second guessing myself, which is no, that's 3 and 4. No, the track gave me a false sense of hope that we could have a nice little parade lap for him. The nicest guy.
Oh, Hazelton, yeah. Yeah, old hip check Hazelton, as he is known, has been known to get into one of the other cars and send him off the track. But great guy, good guy to have around. So I believe we'll have our results. There they are. As you can see, our Heat 1 results. That's Wilmot, who took the win on the first heat, followed by Greenberg, Flannery, Zook in P4, Day in a mysterious P5. And I think, Robert, we'll have to talk about what we think is his plan. Chuma Onabogu, and Chuma's his nickname. That's what everybody calls him. In P6, followed by Warren, Hazelton, and Lovett. Now, it will be interesting to see Lovett start this race in P1. We saw him jump, 6 places on the standing start on the last heat. So we should see a pretty big jump from him off the front as we go into our 5-minute warm-up until the feature race. Pretty interesting. I think this is going to be a pretty interesting reversal of fortune for the field.
Yeah, the good start that he had in that heat race, it leaves no doubt in my mind that if he has another one like that, he could be in with a shout of getting enough of a gap to prevent slipstream from happening. But it doesn't prevent people from bump drafting to be able to sneak behind him.
Yeah, but he'll go through the 2 horseshoes before he gets onto the banking. So he'll have to navigate all those turns with a big gap, and with the field catching up behind. I don't know if 20 minutes is enough time for Wilmot to come all the way from the back, but we'll see. I reckon.
Yeah, that is. We have to wait and see. We can only pick the minds of the drivers. We can't actually, the stewards didn't give us that power. They only gave us the power to have a microphone commentate, but they didn't give us the power to be able to pick apart the minds of the drivers. The one thing that we can say, I think, is that during this race, it'll be interesting to see 420 and then number 1.
You know, that's something else I wanted to talk to you about, if I may interrupt, is
Go
how
ahead.
lucky Greenberg was to have the incidents that he had in the previous heat and still come out in
I would agree, actually. Yeah, it was very lucky that, even though he had a very large coming together, one would consider a very large crash, he's still able to have the car put into a good position. It still doesn't necessarily help him when it comes to the race because he'll be starting in P8, I think. The good thing is that he had a nice first, and even after that collision just coming onto the NASCAR 1 and 2, he was able to keep the car steady. Well, the Miata is made of steel and very good steel at that, so it does take quite a large knock to actually knock it out of shape. But with Day pitting and the accidents behind him, he didn't have much to climb back, and he did recover quickly. That was the main thing. They recovered quickly from the accident. Didn't put either of them out of condition immediately. It just put them out of step, which is what I would propose as how he was able to get back up. I think his car was less affected than the car of Greenberg, who I think took the bore of the brunt of the incident that they had.
Well, we'll see what they make of it in our feature race. It will be 20 minutes long. Again, reverse grid. So the reverse of the results that we had in that first race. And it should be, there should be a lot of passing, a lot of on-track action. Hopefully this just quick 5 minutes before. I think we've got about 30 seconds left of the warm-up between our heats. But this few minutes should hopefully give the drivers a little bit of time to kind of cool down, refocus, reset, and get ready for another race. Although I have seen a couple of cars going around during this intermediate warm-up.
Going around by which way they're not facing the right way.
Yeah, not circulating but revolving.
What's it called? We have a game over here called Winning Streak, and it has a rotating wheel. So they were playing the winning streak, or otherwise known as the not winning streak.
Well, if you do enough of those at speed, you're going to leave a streak, all right, but it's going to be of a very different kind.
And it's going to leave a little bit of a spot mark on the wheels.
Quite so. Now, I believe we are gridding up. Yes, we are indeed. We should also say thank you so much once again to our sponsor, Jayzilla Track Days. Thank you so much for their faith. Thank you for bringing us all together. That's how most of these guys and I know each other. Thanks for they gave us a few bucks to throw this thing together. We really appreciate their support. Thank you, of course, to Apex Racing TV for helping us put this broadcast on. We hope you're digging it. Hope you'll hang out with us for the rest of the season. You can find out all about that at fprox.net. There's driver profiles. There's the full season schedule. This is, by the way, I forgot to mention, the Florida Man 5000.
The Florida Man 5000. It's just a bit the grid here. I feel like Murray Walker in my head. It's like, one light, two lights, three lights, and it's go, 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 go. As we can see, is that the number 420 car on the outside again? Or
Get another good start.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was about to say, Lovett just had an absolute spring start as Day comes in on the outside. It's almost going to be 3 wide behind Lovett. Lovett just has to make sure he stays out of it for long enough as these guys are battling it out. Day has escaped. Oh no, it is Warren going off.
He just mobbed Warren. He got into Warren's rear quarter and sent him around there just in turn 2, I believe that was. But now we have Day and Lovett at the front of the field, followed very closely by Flannery, Greenberg, and Wilmot, who are all looking to get through this kink and get some work done on the second horseshoe. That was a big run on the part of Wilmot there. I thought he was going to get into the rear of Greenberg. Greenberg's a man.
Oh no! Onobugu! No, my God! I think he lost control just touching the grass, trying to get sideways with Suk, and he just lost control on the grass, just touched it, and the car jackknifed not sure if you're aware of that term, jackknifing, where the car just snaps. And we've got another car off. That is Wilmot.
Did he crash on the transition to the banking?
I think he just lost control of the car on the transition to the banking. This is a replay of Patrick Wilmot in coming out onto the banking. Oh, yeah, he did. He just lost it. Ooh. And
just a little too much power there, I think.
If you had headphones on, which I do.
Oh, no! God. What on earth? What on earth?
That was the car 420 again. Greenberg having an accident coming into the bus stop.
So
three wide with Oh, love it touching the left rear of Jonathan Greenberg, and then he comes around. Another
I gotta say, I think that was Greenberg again. I think Greenberg was trying to get around Lovett and trying to go on the inside of Day there and just touch Lovett's car. As we see Lovett and Suk having a little taparoo there.
Suk recovering from the incident he had with Onobugu. He's doing well to be in third place after all of that. As Flannery is in pit lane.
I think that we're going to have to... We're going to have a... Oh, Onobugu.
Oh, no.
Come on, Chima. Come on, Chima. You can do better than that, buddy.
Yeah, and Patrick Wilmot as well having... I think if the first 3 minutes of this race could have summed up its issues.
So, now,
around.
I'm not entirely sure, but I think what could have happened to Wilmot is he was trying to take the same line that he was just taking a few minutes ago, but on cold tires at the start of this race. What are your thoughts?
That would actually be a good question. What would be the benefit of having cold tires around here, though? You need some temperature. Even on these kinds of tires, you need some temperature. No?
Yeah, I just mean I think he might have gotten caught out by the heat. I think that when he started heat 2, his tires were cold, and he didn't consider that the heat might have started him on without the same heat in his tires that he had on the last lap of the previous heat. So he might have.
That's a good hypothesis. Yeah, that might be true as well, because especially when I've not done heat races myself, but I would imagine if you're driving around and you're having to start again, and you're thinking to yourself, right, I'm going to start, I'm going to charge it down. Yeah. Wait a minute, this is a different car. Everything is in the inside. Oh no, that's the corner. As you see Wilmot trying to take the inside of. He does take the inside of Such. Or Such. Sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce Hayden's last name. But he does take it very nicely as he's now charging down to take on Lovett, as Onobugu is trying to see if he can fend off and keep 6th position away from Greenberg, who's looking to his outside, looking to see if he can take the edge of slipstream as they do in NASCAR. Sorry, Onobugu is yielding the position, coming down onto the apron. I think he's actually yielding altogether. I think he's actually coming into the pits to get some repairs. Patrick Wilmot going into 3rd position after passing Lovett. Lovett having a great start, but I think the great start didn't do well for him.
Oh, he got mobbed.
Yeah, he got mobbed after about half a lap.
Half a lap,
yeah. But I think, as you said before, he did have an absolutely flying start. You know, being able to take half a second coming into turn 1. You know, the standing start for these guys is a bit unnatural, but he was absolutely able to get going immediately, and half a second coming into turn 1 of something like Daytona Road, it's nothing to be scoffed at. As he's now trying to see if he can take back position.
I'll tell you, I have tried to feel him out, Lovett, a little bit. Like I've hinted around and tried to suggest that he might have some kind of a launch control situation going on. He says it's all him.
Option 13, like in the Benetton.
Yeah. As we see, it looks like Greenberg trying to get around Such. And I did ask Hayden earlier today how to pronounce his last name. I must apologize to him. I asked him point blank, how do I pronounce your last name? He said Such, and I've been not saying it correctly. So Hayden, Please accept my apologies.
Well, I think I said it wrong as well, so I think the both of us will have to apologize. But I'm known for getting my names wrong, so I at least have that precedent. As they go side by side, coming down to the bus stop. Hayden on the inside. He'll have the. No, he doesn't have the right way. I thought he was ahead of Greenberg. Greenberg sliding around. I think he dived quite deep to try and get past Hayden. We haven't actually talked about this a bit. We are going to talk about it now. It is the battle for the lead. Michael Day versus Hazelton. Hazelton coming out of nowhere, I think. He's just been able to get his legs stretched, and with all the shenanigans that have been going on behind them, I think they've been able to have a very nice clean race. No damage on either car coming into turn one. Hazelton taking the lead away from Day, as the car in third and fourth, Wilmot and Lovett respectively, just crossed the line now. Flannery posting a purple lap of 2:12.984. He'll be trying to catch on to Hayden and then on to Greenberg. I don't think he'll get much further. So, if all goes well from here on in, it's Hazelton versus Day for the lead. Sorry, we just had a bit of a technical issue with Jim. He's just lost his PC. I'll be keeping you company for the next few minutes while we get him back online. Still battling with Greenberg. I just see that his lines are quite different compared to Greenberg. Greenberg's taking a wide line coming in to the second horseshoe, then hugging it around the second half, just past the 50-50 point. Whereas, I think I don't think he's very comfortable with the corner as under any regard. Not the same for these guys, Hazelton and Day, coming into the bus stop. I think they're taking almost the same lines as Hazelton, kicking the rear end just a little bit out. Day's very clean, sticking right on the rear end of Hazelton, not letting him get any sort of distance or any sort of gap off of him, coming through the NASCAR 3 and 4. And just getting the most amount of slipstream he can. He'll probably go on the inside. He does go on the inside, going side by side with Hazelton. And Day returns to P1. But Hazelton is still right there. Only 1/10 of a second separating the two of them going into turn one. That is very brave braking by the two of them. I would not want to do that in a normal car. Oh. The brave pills are coming out. The brave pills are coming out as Hazelton looks. Ooh! Crikey! Hazelton coming with a very big lunge on Michael Day. And he's been punished for it, actually, by his car refusing to sort of get back up to speed. A second separating two of them coming past the International Horseshoe onto turn 3. He had a great start, but, he just couldn't. He's just not able to sort of get up and go once the going gets tough, I think. As you can see, Greenberg is just hounding the back of him. And he's going this way and that. Love it. It's just trying to prevent himself from getting absolutely run over, really. Flannery handling in the background, just being able to see and feel the situation as he was doing in the Heat 1.
Well, that was interesting.
Welcome back, Jim.
Thank you so much.
I held the Ford effectively. And nobody died. As you say that one. As I say that, going off the NASCAR 1 and 2 is Scott Lovett and Greenberg. Oh no. Oh no. I shouldn't be laughing, but it was just too coincidental. Poor Greenberg, and love it, having to essentially defend his position on the apron as Day yields a position to Hazelton. This has been a fight that's been going on for a little bit, about 2 or 3 laps at this stage. It is Hazelton and Day coming around the International Horseshoe, which I incorrectly stipulated was turn 2 by saying turn 3 was turn 4. If that makes sense.
We will never forgive you.
I'll never be forgiven, even though I called corner names. I called Blanchemont and Rodion, so that's my curse.
Yeah.
Hazelton, I'll just sort of break the ice a little bit in terms of seeing Hazelton and Day. We didn't talk too much about Hazelton in the first heat, but I want to break him in and see how his lines compare to Day's lines in terms of the inroads from the International Horseshoe, turn 4, the second horseshoe. I'm seeing that Hazelton is running a very nice tight line, but Day comparatively is actually running a very wide line coming into the horseshoes. Is there any reason for these particular cars?
I couldn't say, but just looking at the battle box, Day has brought that gap down quite a lot. Just as they were going on to the transition onto the NASCAR banking, he was at about 8 tenths, and now has that down to 4 tenths. So by the time they get around to turn 1, we could see Day challenging for the lead once more. Hard to tell exactly what lines we're taking at this far of a remove, but it is nice to be in the blend. As we see here, it looks like Day is making his move on Hazelton.
Yeah, they were going. This has been constant. Hazelton, not very much of a gap to Day, but I think he doesn't want to continue sort of this rodeo where they've been switching back and forth for first and second position. Now, the two of them have very big brake pills. Because the two of them have been essentially trying to psych each other out in turn 1 and see who they're checking out. Neither do, and every time I see them coming into turn 1, I'm thinking to myself, please don't hit each other, please don't hit each other. Every time they haven't, but I'm still very scared. I'm still very scared.
You know, I wondered why my views seem to be different than yours, and it's because I had my thing set wrong. What a fool I was.
Ooh,
so it looks
sorry.
like...
Sorry, it's just the cut across. That's Hazelton having a little bit of a wiggle, just breaking into the second horseshoe, and Day himself had a wobble just coming through the apex of the second horseshoe. So still keeping the same gaps. Let's see, Day is kicking at the rear end. I think Day, out of all of the Miata drivers, loves to kick out the rear end quite a lot.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to mind. He's in control of the car, and feels confident with sliding it around like that. Yeah, very different, a slightly wider line there for Hazelton than Day. Let's see if Hazelton is able to close his gap down. Going by the numbers, he is catching Day there. We can see in the battle box in the lower right-hand corner. Although through the bus stop, it looks like Day is taking Hazelton to school a little bit.
Yeah, Day, I think, has a bit more of an aggressive line. He kicks at the tail coming through the second, just coming onto the second half, onto the exit onto the NASCAR 3-4. I think he's just able to get the car up to speed a little bit faster. But Hazelton just, he does have the slipstream. He's not able to, Day's not able to create a big enough gap to be able to, look how quick Hazelton closes the gap. And he's going side by side once again, but it's very late going side by side between the two of these. I'm hoping now that Day does back out. Day backs out he backs out quite early, which might prove beneficial. It does prove beneficial. Hazelton has overextended himself, cutting the grass. almost losing the car, I thought, there, but he managed to keep it going. That is not a happy-looking car at all, especially with the fact that Days is trying to extend his gap, coming wide out of the International Horseshoe onto turn 4. Hazelton will be trying to catch and hold first position. That is Day going wide. Look at the different lines that they're using through the second bus stop. Day is going very, very deep into the second bus stop, or the second horseshoe. Sorry, I call it the bus stop. The second horseshoe. Whereas with Hazelton, he's just sort of taking a more natural apex line. Is either one faster?
Yeah, you wouldn't think with the same conditions. I think you could make a case for one of them being more of like a wet line or the karting line, but it's not wet and we're not in karts. So as we head up onto the banking, headed around through 3 and 4, we will eventually get back to the bus stop. And it looks like Hazelton is going to try his luck once more. Now, at 17 minutes, just over 17 minutes elapsed of a 20-minute feature race. It looked like Hazelton mishandled the braking for the bus stop there, if I'm not mistaken. We should be, this is probably going to be our second to last lap, I would think. Given that we won't get a white flag, but given that we have just over 2-minute laps, and yeah, I think this next lap might just be our last.
I would wager it would be, yeah. So if I was a betting man and if I was a tactical man, I would probably say to Hazelton, stay behind, stay behind. You need the slipstream to get across the line. But I think they're just gonna go at it again. Hazelton on the outside coming into turn 1. Again, very brave.
Very much on the outside.
Yeah, he's not pulled that one before. He's usually passed Day and then kept it at the racing line. He's never actually done a full overtake coming through on the outside into turn 1. And Day's battling through the International Horseshoe. Oh, Day takes it back.
Very easily takes it. Yeah.
I think the last lap has it is descended the red mist for the lead. I think both of these drivers are kind of wanting that top spot. Well, if anything, it's for bragging rights that I got first in the first race.
Although we see Day dip a wheel there on the inside of that second horseshoe and losing a little time to Hazelton, but he'll be in their preferred position as they go through NASCAR 3 and 4 here.
Yeah, Hazelton.
Or 1 and 2,
yes. Hazelton having to swing quite sharply to regain the racing line to take the ramp to the NASCAR 1-2.
He's moving around to try to throw off the...
Oh, I think I know what I think I know what he's doing. I think he wants the slipstream. But they're going so... Oh, they both want the slipstream. The both of them want the slipstream. Neither wants to give up the slipstream.
Robert, I don't know if you watch any track racing, bicycle racing, velodrome racing, but I did a little bit of track racing myself, and that's the way that you do it in a 2-man sprint. It's known as a match sprint. You always want to be in position 2. You never want to be in position 1 because first of all, you want the slipstream, and secondly, you want the ability to jump off of the high end of the banking without the rider in front knowing that you've done it. So I think we are seeing, and in track racing, you'd call it a little bit of cat and mouse. I think that's what we're seeing here. Hazelton with a big run thanks to that slipstream on Day. I think Day is just going to have to resign himself.
I think
P2.
I think Day scuppered his chances because...
Well, he certainly has now.
Well, he has now anyway. Going through the Daytona colors there, as Wilmot crossed the line, take 3rd position. Final step on the podium. I think what happened there was when Day was trying to prevent Hazelton from taking the slipstream, what had happened was he had actually lost speed going onto the apron and coming back onto the ramp or the NASCAR 3 and 4 actual. He lost speed actually doing that, and that just led Hazelton to have just more momentum. He just kept the momentum up and kept it going, so he just could pass him. And oh, poor Greenberg. His poor car. Oh, that's a sad Miata.
That is a sad looking oregano livery. Now, as you know, we haven't talked too much about it, but Greenberg very much into cooking, which is why his car is covered in oregano. So we should see the event results here in just a minute, but I want to tell you that next week we will be at Lime Rock Park with a very similar. Is Greenberg stopping before the finish line? He did. Greenberg, what are you doing? There he goes.
There we go. Yeah.
He's waiting for Chuma to come around and give him a good old whack.
We hadn't even. Apart from the first time, I don't think we talked about Chuma. I think we were just so enthralled with. I accidentally foreshadowed an accident. So that's on the commentator's curse. Yes, that's on my slate now. But Onabuga coming around on the 3 and 4. He's actually kept the car pretty clean. I think it was just that accident that he had with. I think that was Hayden. It was with Hayden. Yeah, I remember now. Coming into the second horseshoe, he had lost control, touching the grass, and then slammed Hayden as a result.
I think you're going to see a very big wreck here in just a moment. No, Greenberg's moved. So yeah, as I was saying, next week's race will be at Lime Rock Park. That one is called Skippy's Legal Fees Grand Prix. If you're not familiar with the Skip Barber legal saga, I recommend that you look it up. It is quite a tale. I believe we're going to get this heat's results here in just a second. Here indeed they are. So your winner, Fred, the hip check Hazelton in P1. An unbelievable result for him. Well done to you, Fred. Followed by Day and Wilmot on P2 and P3. We'll have to see how the points shake out for tonight to see. And by the way, go to fprox.net. You'll see who ends up in what car for the next race. But P4, Ryan Flannery. And 5, Ben Warren. Hayden Such. Jonathan Greenberg. An eventful night for Greenberg. Quite a lot of banging around. Our man Chuma in P8. And finally, Scott Lovett.
Yeah, the big name that I thought was doing, very well up until he scuppered his chances by going onto the apron was Michael Day. I thought he drove very well and very cleanly, and then his need to not have a car behind him, essentially just taking air, it just cost him a place, and it just cost him essentially the first position, because Hazelton, after seeing what Day was doing, probably left into his own devices, and at the end of the day, that's what cost him.
Well, who knows? Kim, do we have the ability to see the points so far? I'm not sure if we do. Okay, no worries. That was the voice of Jesus Christ. Thank you so much for getting in touch. So we will not have points for you tonight, but do go to the website and we will have those for you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. This has been a ball and a great fun season opener. We have 7 races left to go in the season each week from now right the way through October 20th, 2020. So we will take you all the way to Halloween, just about, with a race every week, similar format. Next week's race, of course, will be when the fun really begins, because the drivers will all be in different cars based on their performance tonight. So follow us on the socials to find out about how all of that will shake out. Robert, thank you so much. I appreciate your help tonight, especially since my PC exploded in the middle of the broadcast.
You're very welcome, Jim. You're very welcome. And once again, a shout out to the drivers who turned up today and raced. It was a great first impressions, I think, for many people. So I'm hoping to see them back again for round 2.
Thrilled. Thank you again to our sponsor, J-Zilla Track Days. Thank you so much, Apex Racing TV, for helping us out with the broadcast, particularly Dennis Branch and all his expertise. He is the reason that it looked so good tonight. So thank you once again. We sure do appreciate it, and we will see you next week at Lime Rock Park.